I'm now going to show you how just to make a decorative paper on some card. Now this is just bog standard card. That is a really pretty green. I want to save that green, so I won't be covering that side up. It's pearlized. Can you see the sheen there? So I want to save that side, but that is just an ordinary piece of card. And the nice thing about this is that you can use bits and pieces from your paper bin, or any bits and pieces really, bits of packing, because you're going to cover it up. Now these are both the same size, and they're approximately 9 by 8-ish. Now as long as your pages aren't any bigger than 9 by 9, then you'll be okay. Now what I'm going to do here is just as it seems. Right, make sure that isn't the green one. I'm going to cover this in the glue stick. Now you can use PVA, but this is such a nice smooth glue, any glue stick, that it just goes on lovely, whereas PVA can be a bit thick. It may be a bit runny if you add water, and it doesn't go on as nice as this. So you're just going to marry the edges up. It doesn't matter if they don't go completely, because we're going to trim, and later hopefully we will decorate the edges anyway. Now with something nice like this bone folder, but if you haven't got one, pencil will do, ruler, anything. So that is the first one. Okay, now as you can see there's just a tiny bit there that hasn't matched, but doesn't matter. And I just ripped that edge there, being too vigorous. That's because I had my shredded wheat. It's made me strong. So anyway, that's the first one. I'll do the same to this one, making sure I've got the nice green side there, and that's that one down. Now we're going to join these to make one complete page. Now I've just put some glue along there, glue stick along there, and this is washi tape, but you can use strips of paper, strips of fabric. We've used fabric before, sellotape, although if you use sellotape it does mean that you won't be able to glue or sew over it, although we probably won't need to, because this will be where the fold is, the spine. Just going to make it secure. And all this washi tape that I use, I'm just going to show you this. You've seen it before, and I've taken some out there on the side. I picked that up in a charity shop. Oh my goodness, for just a few pounds. It was incredible. The box alone was worth more than I paid for it, or just the box without the washi tape in it, and some of it was new. So thank you to whoever donated that, wherever you are. Right, now that will strengthen the edge. Carefully lift that up, and I'm going to trim that. Now I need to give that just a few minutes to dry, because then I'm going to machine around the edge. Now that one done. Right, now while that is drying, I'm just going to put that on the side. You see how pretty that one is? So that is that side, and then that is that side. So I'm just going to put that on the edge to dry, and that will only take a minute or so. But while that's drying, I'm going to show you another page. These are from a vintage magazine. like a repo magazine with vintage things in there, so they're not authentic, they're just copies. But it's a Christmas magazine. My sister-in-law gave this to me, and I'm just going to join these now, because although Christmas Day has actually passed by the time we get to the 12 days of Christmas, we have to remember that Christmas is a season. It isn't just about Christmas Day and giving presents. There's more to it than that. And I'm not going to go into lots of details, because we all have our own feelings about celebrations and, you know, what we feel and what we believe. But it is a season, and the whole season lasts until my birthday, the 6th of January. And I just think it was a toss-up really whether to do this or do a Christmas journal, but I thought no, there are probably lots of people doing Christmas journals, so they're out there if that's what you want. Right, I'm going to do the same, so exactly the same before. This time a little bit more washy. This isn't particularly Christmassy, but it doesn't have to be. Can you see the butterfly there? I'll make that bigger because that is really pretty. That's worth having a look at, that butterfly. Just about see it there. So I'm going to take that back, and then I'm going to turn that over and do the same here. And that is that page. Now, depending on what we put on these pages, because as you know, it's always a bit of a revelation as to how our work pans out. It develops, progresses as we do it. We might need to strengthen some of these more flimsier pages as the time goes on. So the first page that's drying over there will be fine for heavier pieces of work, because that is card. This isn't card, so we need to be a bit careful with this. We might actually need to line it, just for the sake of argument, to line, not with this, but to line it with something else, just to give it a bit more strength, which would be a shame, because we'd be going over some of this. Anyway, so that one's done. Now I'm not going to machine sew around this edge, that will be decorated, but I'm going to now machine sew around this edge, because I've got two pieces. I want to secure the two. You see that there? Just need to secure the edges, just to make sure that this doesn't roll back, dry and roll off. And I'm going to correct that, because that is just annoying me a little bit. And it won't even be seen. Just put that a little bit right there. Smash in, that will do. So, right, so I'm going off now to machine sew this all the way around the edge, and then I'll be back. And here it is. That's machine sewn now. It's zigzagged all the way around the edge here, all the way around there. Okay, so those are the first pages. Snip those off, or could leave those for dangles. So first page is done. Here's the other two. Fold that along the crease there, and there we go, the start of our journal. As you can see, that one's a bit longer, but it's okay as long as it doesn't extend the 9 inches that we need. No bigger than 9 inches, that's going to be fine. We can have shorter ones as well. Now I'm going to spend the next couple of hours making more pages, and as soon as I've made enough for the journal, then I'll get back to you. So, after many hours later, this took an absolute age, practically a whole day to do, but it was lovely. I think this is the best part of journal making, choosing the fabric and making up the pages. This one is from a vintage book, a children's book, and it is very old. I think it dates from the 30s, but it is very old and falling to pieces. But it's very weak as well. The fabric's weak, so I've lined it with 2 magazine pages and I've glued it together. I haven't sewn round it. I'm not sure about sewing round it. I don't know if that paper will take sewing machine without tearing. It might do now that I've lined it with a sturdy paper. So that's another one. I'll just very quickly run through these. This is more wrapping paper. The inside. You'll see all these again. Wrapping paper again. And again. This is magazine. Very pretty magazines here. There. Now this one, it's a fine magazine, so it might need to be glued with maybe another magazine sheet. I'm not sure yet. That'll all come in the next part. So these have been joined just as before with the washi tape. This is actually in German from a Christmas market brochure I was given a couple of years ago. There's some nice pictures in there, and it is a nice sturdy paper as well. This is quite old. This is vintage. So I don't think I'll be doing anything with this at all. That is purely there for aesthetics because it is lovely. More magazines there. Once again, I think this was from Bruges, a Christmas market in Bruges or Brussels, I can't remember, but some beautiful pictures there. That one is particularly nice, I like that. From the market, the German magazine, and it's really lovely. That was about the Christmas fair in Rue Design. Once again, Christmas wrapping paper. The blank pages I will leave, I think, for journaling, and some of the other ones I will put writing paper on them. I've actually got this little cup from the German market of that year, 2019, I think. That was pre-COVID? Yeah, 2019. Seems such a long time ago now, doesn't it? The new timeline is COVID, isn't it? Pre-COVID. Still things looking better. Wrapping paper. Again, I love this one. I really do like that paper. This was a double spread in, I think it was in a Christmas magazine I picked up in a service station around about Belgium or Calais. And that was in the middle. And I thought that is so beautiful, but I've had to join it. So those, yeah, I love this as well. That's vintage. And a cross stitch patterns there from the Cross Stitch magazine. More vintage music sheet. I actually folded this one as well. I might secure it like that so we have little tuck spots or pockets there. So I'm just keeping that folded for the time being. Some more vintage paper. That's a Christmas page from Edith. Oh, I don't think that was from Edith Holden. I'm not too sure. There are two very similar. One's Edith Holden. I can't remember the other one's name. But I'm not sure if that is Edith Holden. I'll check and I'll have a look. And by the time we get to that page, I'll know who it was. vintage from a vintage book. And finally, just bits of odd card that I had. So those are the pages so far. I've also set these to one side that I might pop in. I'm not sure at the moment. Might decorate and pop in. We'll have a folder there. This, look how lovely that is. And if I said guess where that's from, I bet you wouldn't know, because I was shocked. Look, it's Welcher. That's one of the Welcher wallets, and that was inside, and I thought, oh my goodness. So I've just reversed it. Might use that. I don't know if there are other projects. This is a money voucher, so I might find a place for that and a place for some of these cards. Got some cards here, and the cards, the reason for the cards is that they make nice journaling pages. Look at how lovely that would be to write on. And of course the 12 days of Christmas, we need to pop that somewhere. I've had to score out the dates because this was for last year's calendar, so I'll have to decorate that in some way. And this as well I had to cobble together as well. And I've just got some bits and pieces here that I've already mounted on packing paper. Now I'm not necessarily going to use all these in this project, but just in case I need them, this was a Christmas bag which I've shortened and I've made it page length as well, so that is quite nice to pop in here. That would be the 2 pages. Might do, might not. And this once again, and this was a bottle bag, so it was quite long, but I've opened it up. There might be a place for this, or there might not. So the next thing to do is to collect up items now and decorate the pages. So I won't be decorating all the pages, but I will be decorating most, I imagine, and I mean the edges, just to give it a little bit of oomph, take the blandness, the plainness away from the pages. And that needs to be done before we make them up, for obvious reasons. If I'm going to machine sew them, it's easier to machine sew them flat than when they're made up. They're all finished now. They're all made into their signatures, and I haven't actually opened them. It's always a big moment. I need to do something about the ends and trim them off, so they're not finished, but they are all sewn together, machine sewn. Now I had to change the needle for this, and I used quite a large needle, and it was a 110 size needle, and it went through fine. I did before that though, I made the signature smaller because they were so big. I had 3 really big signatures, and I divided each one into 2, so I've ended up with 6 signatures, which are still a substantial size. So whether I actually use these all, I don't know. I think I could possibly get 2 journals out of this, but we will see, because this could last, although it's for the 12 days, it could be for the 12 months of the year. So we'll play that one by ear, but I'm just going to open this one. And the machine sewing, I think it makes a really nice, neat job. I won't go through them all because that takes so long. Look at that, how nice that is, and it actually looks like a book when you open the pages. And that is the card. Now there will be lots and lots of places to journal in this mega beast of a journal, so some of these will actually be covered up. Not the really pretty pictures like that. This one I found while I was actually sewing. I went to a box and I found some sheets that were done for another journal that I didn't use, and this one has lace on. Can you hear that? because you might not be able to see it, that one has lace. So that was a really nice surprise. And now I'm just going to show you something here. You see this? There is the actual mug, and it looks after, because it can't be used now, it's chipped, but that looks after my glasses here. I thought I'd just show you that. So that is the glue wine mug, which might be covered up or it might not. So very quickly, and that's the centre, and can you see how nice and neat that looks? And it's just so easy to do, it really is. I love this, and they will all look the same, hopefully. As I say, I haven't checked them, but hopefully they will all look the same. And I love that page there in there. So that is first signature, and as I say, there are another 5 there, 5 there. Oh gosh, now I want to look at them all, but I won't do this. This was another sheet that I found along with the other one I showed you, and that was done some time ago. Oh, it must be a couple of years old, this one, and it's all crinkly, and that is paper made with fabric here. And that, I thought there might have been trouble sewing that because it's very stiff, but no, it was fine. That's gone in nicely. And these pages of the month, that's vintage. I found this as well, vintage wallpaper. So well, I think if the other 4 look like the first 2, then I shall be very happy. That's the other part of the handmade paper. So I won't go any further. I shall leave it here. See pocket there. I'm going to spend some time looking through there, and then the next time you see these, it will be time to dress the pages. But I'm going to go through them first and just tidy up the scruffy bits, and then so the next thing to do is a really fun task, and that's to make up the 12 notebooks. Now the 12 notebooks for reflections, reminders, lists, whatever you want to do in yours, is for one for each day of the 12 days of Christmas. But having said that, they're quite substantial. It depends how far you want to take your journal into the new year, because for the 12 days of Christmas, they could equally be used for the 12 months. They could be monthly planners as well. So that's entirely up to you. Now I've chosen to do cross stitch on my cards. I haven't actually made all my cards myself. I did buy some in the year from someone on eBay, and I can't remember her name, so that's a bit unfortunate. But I have changed them. I've not kept them as I bought them. It was the small pieces of cross stitch that I wanted. So anyway, this is a take on that. So this is the card. Alright, now this card measures, let me have a look. The card measures 5 3/4 by 8 inches, 5 3/4 by 8 inches, and it's just folded, creased. I've lined mine, not all of them, but just this one I've lined it. And then this will be placed there, that will be glued there, or machine sewn, it's up to you. And then a small piece of embroidery, a cross stitch, will go here. Now you might have some motifs instead that you want to put there, or some bits of slow stitching, but I just want to do the cross stitch. I like small pieces of cross stitch, and I think it just looks nice. For our purpose, it looks nice. Now, in case you didn't want to make the cards, you could buy some, but you can also do this with just an ordinary plain greetings card, because all we're going to do is make it into a notebook. But because our folder, our journal, fabric based, be quite a bit of fabric in there, we're going to put some cross stitch on the front. So where do we start? So we've got the card, we've got our decorative panel that the Ada will go on. Now I'm just going to refresh cross stitch for anybody who has forgotten, can't remember, or for whatever reason. Now I am at the side, so forgive me for not getting this straight, because to me I'm now working sideways on. I'm looking that way, but my hands are going that way. So first cross, I'll just do one. So you want a nice needle. Everything's exaggerated so you can see it. I'm just going to make that a bit bigger so you can see. Lovely. So obviously this needle isn't intended for cross stitch and these fine holes. So I'm going to start here. Well, it's quite hard to get that thick needle in. Now I'll be using a fine needle with a bluntish end. It'll be pointed but not sharp, with 3 strands of thread. But for this purpose I'm using this chunky needle, big thread, so you can see it. Right, now when you do the cross stitch, not as we do it in our textile art projects, this time we're going to do it as it's intended to be done, to suit the nature of the card. Okay, so we're going to work in a box. You have to imagine an invisible box here, equal sides. So we've now come in through there. You could equally come in up here and go that way, but I'm doing it this way. It feels natural to me to do it this way. So I'm going to go across. Your stitches will be smaller. Oh gosh, that's difficult. Right, so that's my first leg, and then I'm going to take it over here. Now where the 2 points meet, over here and there. Now if I can see that properly, they meet possibly on that line there. Oh, push that through there. So that's one leg, and now we've come over there and we're going to do the same here. We're going to find where these 2 meet, that one, and they meet about there, and there you go, and there is your cross stitch. Okay, and that's a single cross stitch. And at this point, if you can't do cross stitch, if you're new to it, that's all you need to know, because you can do it in rows, but this isn't actually about cross stitch. It's about us making a notebook at the moment and a journal. So that is your cross stitch, and you would just place your next one beside it. Okay, so that was just a quick recap. Whoa, thank goodness for that, because that was really tough. So on to our card bit. Now with the cross stitch design, I'm just going to make this a bit smaller. There are lots and lots of places online where you could get free printable cross stitch designs, and you only need a tiny one to go on here. You don't need anything big and elaborate, just a few stitches to go on your tiny bit of square that is going to go there. So what I've done, I've just worked out something very briefly, very quickly. It's a snowflake on here. I've got a little bit of graph paper and just, well, very crudely actually, just put some crosses down in what I consider to be a stylized snowflake shape, and I'm going to follow that. But if you get some graph paper, you can print some off and just play about with your pencil and see what you come up with. As I say, it doesn't have to be elaborate at all. You could just play around until you get what you want. Now the next thing, you need to make sure that your design is going to fit on your tiny piece of canvas here. So I've counted my boxes. I've counted from the widest part here to here, and I've added 2 on for a border all the way round, and I've counted along here and it fits on there nicely, but I have to find the center to make sure it will do. It's no good starting it here. I'm finding I'm out of canvas here. So find the center and just crease your fabric in half like so, and where you get your cross is the center. So my first stitch will go here. I'll just make this. I don't expect you to see this because it is very, very fine. So I'm just going to follow this now. So the center, this is the first stitch I'm going to do, and that will be my guide throughout. First leg, and there we go, first stitch done. Now I shall work in this row, so either side of the center there are 3 stitches, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. I'm going to put those in first, and I'm going to find the 3, 1 2 3, and I'm going back on myself now, and there we go. The main thing is, all you need to remember really is that you keep the top leg, the top cross, going the same way. They all cross at the same place. Finished. I've left enough boxes, enough of a border around there just to fray it slightly. I'm not going to use pinking shears. I'm just going to fray it just a little bit. Just take off only just a couple of threads. Oh, they're a bit stiff. There we go. I think that gives a softer edge than just leaving it. There, I've just removed a box. Make that a little bit bigger. Oh, there we go. So there we are now. Snowflake finished, and it's just been frayed around the edge there. So the next thing to do is to place this. You can place that wherever you like, but why I want this left blank is because we're going to add at some point the numbers of the day and decorate it. So I want as much space up here as possible, but you could put that up there, you could move that wherever you wanted. It doesn't have to be in the middle at the bottom, it just suits me and what I have in mind at the moment. Right, I'm going to line this up with the lines on there, and hopefully if I use those lines as a guide or a guide, I might get this straight. Yeah, it looks like. Right, I'm just going to add some more of this, and I do like this glue. As I said before, it's very, very strong. Right, so that looks like the border is even all the way around. Just flatten that a little bit. Lovely. And then this will be placed in the center, or I might do this one different. No, that's going to go in the center. So we need to know that that really is in the center. So just going to very lightly, it's about there. Right, so a bit of glue on the end here, on the back. That's quite thick as well now. I've popped that on there thick. And there we go, in the centre. That needs just a few minutes to dry, and then it'll be time to put the notebook, or to make the notebook up. I'm just going to give that a few minutes to dry, and then we'll finish it. It's nice and dry now, and it's ready to have the paper put in. So what I've done, I've cut 7 pieces of paper, all of a length and a width to fit inside. There you go, look, if I tidy them up, they just fit in there, crease to crease, like so. And then I'll just crease them, and they'll be machine sewn along the crease here. Flatten that out. So I'm just going to machine sew those now into place. So here it is, machine sewn in place, and now we have a work or a notebook for your ideas, your feelings, reflections on the current year or the past year, and ideas and hopes for the future. And there will be 12 of these, 12 days of Christmas, but as I say, you know, they're quite substantial to use probably for a month, actually, keep you going all year. So that is now done. It's now a viable work, or notebook. I just need to trim these bits off. So the next bit will be to decorate here, and maybe put the day, what day it is, any day from 1 to 12, isn't it? So we'll do something here and number it, so that will be the next thing. But getting back to this very briefly, if you haven't got time to do this, or you don't want to do that, you think it's you know, just a bit too laborious to do 12 of these, that's entirely up to you. But you could still make the notebook with a card, a nice Christmas card, and you could imagine that isn't there, just pop your paper in and do exactly the same along there, and you'll end up with a notebook. The only difference is yours will look different. You won't have any hands sewing on there. That actually looks nice with the red border showing, doesn't it? I like that. I'm going to do 12 now, make up 12, and here are the 12 all finished. All I need to do is to cut the threads from the bottom and the top, and they're all done, and they're waiting now just to be embellished. This one is different because this is either the first one or the last one, so that is different. And I have another different one here as well. That one's different as well. I think maybe that'll be the first, and that will be the last. So the notebook's now finished. Just pop them on one side for a while, because in part 3 we're going to go back to the journal and start decorating the pages.